Hello again for another email video that I'm offering you if you are part of my weekly email subscription, which if you're getting this video, you are. So thank you for joining me. And what I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks at least, I want to talk about reclaiming your power, but in the sense of building a foundation for you to find your intuitive gifts. And many of you are exploring this right now as you're going through spiritual awakening and feeling gifts open up to you, but we don't really understand them in the beginning. Those of you who aren't formally going through spiritual awakening, we all still have gifts and we can still open them up even if we are not going through spiritual awakening at this moment in time, or that we're aware of, okay? So I think this is valuable for everyone. If you would like to learn how to begin opening up what a lot of people call your psychic gifts, your sixth sense. And so I'm going to give you a foundation to build from over the next few weeks. And I'll give you some exercises, and then you can take it from there and build it on your own. And I guess what I would say is, play around with what I provide you today and in the next week or two, and see how it works for you. I'd be so interested in knowing as well. So if you're very serious about wanting to open up your gifts, which we all have, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, these are some steps you can take that I have actually used in my journey. And so just a quick background for those of you who might not be familiar or have looked at my welcome video on my YouTube page. Just 2.5 years ago, I was just, living kind of the normal life and never thought once about having my sixth sense gifts open up, my psychic gifts open up at all. I always thought that was for special people who somehow were unique and connected in a different way. And, I didn't think about it a lot, but I remember thinking, wouldn't that just be the neatest thing? And yet, that's about what I thought of it and didn't really have a practiced way to get there. And of course, it wasn't important to me then. And I think for many of us, as we go through this spiritual awakening or even this life journey and start to want to explore more of this, becomes more a part of our awareness. So today, I'm going to offer you 3 pieces of the entirety of this. And I'll give you an exercise on each to take away that you can work on over the next week. Because as you know, it is typical for me to send out emails on Friday. So you have a whole week to consider this and work on it before you get the next pieces of it. All right. So first of all, the first piece is belief in yourself. And this is the toughest one. And I'm going to tell you right now, regardless of where you end up on the spectrum of, off the chart gifts or just starting out, you're still going to always have the human struggle of believing in yourself. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why first, and then we'll talk about it. The why is because, first of all, you can look societally where we have been taught for so long that we have to struggle, we're not worthy, we aren't good enough, and you can think of a million examples. And not that it's all like that, but there is a lot in our cultures and our societies that tell us that we're not worthy of these things, regardless of what these things are. And in this case, we've never been taught that we really have intuitive gifts in our mainstream society. Those of you who are fortunate enough to have been exposed to this in your younger years, as part of your growing up, what a wonderful thing. But most of us haven't been, and it's been shunned or set aside, especially if you were a child and you had gifts start to wake up. And when I speak of gifts, the psychic gifts that I'm speaking of, there are many, but I'm just, clairaudience, being able to hear, being able to see things, being able to feel, clairsentience, empathic folks. And we can talk all day long about this, but that's not my point in this video. I want to have you can explore what intuitive gifts are online and whatnot. I want to explain to you how we actually get to be able to use those and feel confident. But belief in self is so important. But what I want you to know is as you start growing in the belief in yourself, you're going to still have doubts come in. I do this still regularly, and I will sit there and I'm highly clairaudient, I'm highly clairsentient, and I can see, it's just a different way of saying, but I'll at times kind of have a frumpy day, and the human me will start poking at myself, and that's that, if you want to call it ego part, we're saying, reminding you of what you've been taught, that no, you don't really have intuitive gifts. You didn't learn this in your mainstream growing up. Why would you have any of this? Why would you be special? Why? Well, that's not the point. We all have these gifts. We come in with them, but they are not cultivated. All right? So just know that when I sit here and say belief in yourself, you're probably going to go, I doubt myself all the time. Well, we all doubt ourselves. That's just the way it is. But you're going to get past that, and you're going to continue to start believing more and more as you get practiced at these efforts, which we'll talk about in upcoming videos, and how you're going to start seeing results. And that's the key, seeing results. So these first few pieces are not so much, let's get right into it and do it and see results. This is about building you back into who you have always been and have forgotten for one reason or another. All right? So belief in self. Toughest one, remember that. Here's some exercises for you. And these are things that I've done, and they've helped immensely. And, a couple of them seem kind of silly, but they work. And you can make up your own too, but you're going to get the sense of what this actually means, believing in yourself, and how do you create that, okay? So in the morning, in the mirror, I look at myself, and I've mentioned this in other videos, this piece of it. And I look at myself, and I speak to myself with love and gratitude and strength, and I speak about how much I love myself, and I laugh about it too at times, and I try to make this fun. And I talk about how my higher self is in charge, leading, and that the human me is coming along for the ride. And I'm appreciative of my body, so the three of us are journeying together, but my higher self is in charge. And that's the higher part of us who is there trying to speak, but we for so long have not listened or even been taught that we should listen, all right? So with that, stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself in your eyes. We don't do that. As I've said before, we look at ourselves critically. Nope, that's not what you're doing here. You're going to give yourself love in whatever way possible, but words are powerful. Look yourself in the eye and speak about 3 things you love about yourself. Speak it, and talk to your body, talk to your mind, talk to your soul. So that's what I want you to do, and is do a morning ritual where you give gratitude to yourself, all right? And as you keep doing this daily, I want you to do this daily, you're going to be amazed what will build up, all right, and how you're going to feel differently about yourself. But you're going to combine it with some other things. Self-talk. Okay, I want you to listen to yourself each day as you talk. We so consciously do not even know the words we use that are of a lower vibration. For ourselves, we demean ourselves. We speak low of our talents and our skills. When somebody gives us a compliment, we dismiss it, which is also not great for the other person. And we have been taught not to come across or not to be proud, because think about it. So often you think people are egoic, and you might mistaken it for ego-ness or self-centered or selfish. Now, there is that difference, but that doesn't have to be. You can still stand proud and tall in yourself, and when someone gives you a compliment, say, thank you. I feel that way too about that skill of mine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's weird and it's hard. But you've got to find a way to recognize that self-talk that we do to ourselves, which continues to demean us and bring us into a lower vibration, which then does not allow us to claim our true gifts when we're talking about these intuitive gifts that I'm mentioning. So we've got now, look yourself in the mirror in the morning, and be very conscious of your self-talk. And I would challenge you to get a little journal book or even an app on your iPhone. You can do it in Notes, and notate when you've caught yourself, because this is key, the conscious recognition of this, because we blindly go through this over the course of a day and speak in ways about ourselves, or don't speak about ourselves at all, or stand up for ourselves, that continue to offer us a low vibration. So that's self-talk. I would like you to journal those and see what you come up with when you catch those. Try something new. That's number 3 of this first piece of believing in yourself. So often we won't do things in life because we don't think we're capable. Well, guess what? I understand the physical part of that, but there are so many things that we still can do that we think we can't do. And maybe it takes time to work up to it, but that's part of the challenge of being human. Things aren't supposed to happen overnight. We're supposed to have the patience. Again, this is going to take patience, okay? This whole process, which I'm going to tell you right now, I've been on this journey 2.5 years, and I'm still working on these things, but my intuitive gifts have opened up because I'm doing these things, okay? So try something new. And for me, it was exploring these intuitive gifts and reaching out and starting to talk about it and going to classes. But that's kind of another piece of this. But try anything new to build your self-confidence. Not something somebody says you can do, not something somebody else is telling you to do. What do you want to try new? It can be something just simple, like pull out a piece of paper and a pen and say, well, I've never been an artist, I can't draw. Well, find something in a book and repeat it, draw it. Repeat it. These are little things that will help build your self-confidence, because so many of us have been pounded down over the years not to believe, or to even believe, that the talents and skills we do have, we're not good enough. And then lots of times what happens if we are great, it's built out in a different way. It turns into this egoic thing. So we want to avoid that too. But right now we're talking about building ourselves up, because that's where most of humankind is. Okay? So try something new, pick something new, and then practice it. And, maybe it's gardening. You can't grow a thing ever, you think. No, everybody can grow something. They can. Just a practice process. Be patient and see what happens. Grow a little plant a little seed, and then go from there. So these are basic things that we don't think about on a daily basis that will help you believe further in yourself. So I would challenge you with those exercises for the first piece, the belief in yourself. So I'm going to run into the second one, and then we've got a number of other tips that I'll share with you over the next week or two. Feel your feelings. Know yourself and understand your gut instinct. We often will just roll through life, and when there's a piece of dissonance in us that doesn't feel right, we don't analyze it. We don't understand it. We just keep rolling through, and we follow through with that activity or that action. When in reality, when that dissonance was felt, that unease, something's not right here, that's where we should stop. Analyze the feeling. Even if it's painful, if it's hurtful, if it's whatever it is, analyze what's going on inside of you. Because my guides and angels have said in my sessions that I do for distance energy healing and channeling, it's been a theme, is that when one feels dissonance, that is when the soul is speaking to try to say to the human, hello, let's analyze this. Let's look at this. Not sure you're headed in the right direction. So when you're feeling anxious about something, maybe about a decision you made, or you're thinking of making a decision, you feel disconnected, sit with it. Because we are not taught to do this. We are often taught to just dismiss our feelings and push them down. And then that's a whole nother conversation about how those come out later on in a way that makes it much more difficult. And we all are dealing with that, right? It makes it much more difficult to deal with. So what I want you to do over this next week is I want you to be able to get to know yourself. This is all leading to being able to open your intuitive gifts. And it's, again, about that trust factor, but feeling the feeling, okay? Because so much of intuitiveness with using your sixth sense, the word sense, it's about sensing so much. So this is what we're trying to get you to here, is feeling the feelings within yourself, whether it's anger, happiness, sadness. Recognize them, feel them. Also notice dissonance when you're going through your day. Wow, this isn't feeling right. I'm thinking you have to make a decision, but you're feeling like you have to go one way, but then it doesn't feel right. Go back, analyze that feeling. What is the feeling you're sensing? And if your soul was to answer the question, what would you really do? And that is going to get you into the understanding and the feeling of yourself, your gut instinct, because that's what you want to use, your gut instinct. So find the dissonance during the course of your day. I would also say journal it. People don't like to journal things. I know that. It's a great activity for your mind, and it also helps embed things in your mind so that you can remember and have an increased memory, and that's another conversation as well. But then feel it, okay? I want you to feel your feelings, all right? So you have some practice things here. I'm going to go over them again, okay? There are two major pieces we have talked about today. Belief in self, all right? And then feeling your feelings, know yourself, your gut instinct. Belief in self, as I said, this is the toughest one. Quick summary. Do the exercise for the mirror in the morning. Journal your self-talk, or at least be recognizing your self-talk. And it would be interesting for you at the end of the day to look at your list and say, where did I talk negatively about myself? But you got to be aware first, okay? Try something new. Try something new. Challenge yourself, and you're going to feel good about it. Even if it's what you think is something just tiny and little. That's how you build on this, okay? Number 2, as we said, feel your feelings. Know yourself. If you notice dissonance over the course of your day on a decision you're considering making or an action, notice it, feel it, write it down, and then analyze it. We don't do this in this society. We move way too fast in our societies. We move way too fast. We're not introspective, and it's important to learn to be introspective. So I challenge you this next week to work on those 2 pieces, and then we're going to lead into how this helps you grow your intuitive, your psychic, your sixth sense gifts, because everybody has them, and these are the foundations of building onto that so you can actually start recognizing them, practicing them, and seeing results. So have a wonderful week, and thank you so much for joining me.